We need to train every muscle in our body. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. It's one of these topics that, it shouldn't have to be said, but apparently it does. And we do see that. We have people who, they want to neglect certain parts of their body. They want to have favorite body parts. They want to have things they train more and then stuff that they skip. And my general advice to people is, I don't care whether your pursuit is aesthetics. I don't care whether your pursuit is overall health. You really should be training every major muscle in your body, to some extent. You absolutely need to be training everything, again, to a greater or lesser extent, but you shouldn't ever be neglecting muscles, right? You shouldn't be neglecting muscles. And now some people say, well, there's a little bias in your training. I'm like, yeah, because I neglected my arms a little bit. Like my biceps got neglected in things due to powerlifting. Well, that's not a good thing, okay? It's not a good thing. But I tend to advocate that we need to train everything. And that doesn't mean, hey, we just do some full body stuff. Now, if you are a person who has very limited time and you don't have really extreme goals, I get that. Some full body workouts based around, 3 to 4 big compound movements every time you go to the gym, perfectly reasonable. But keeping in mind, you're never going to maximize your health or your aesthetics doing that. And yes, I do mean that by health, because we know that maximizing muscle mass, according to the data, reduces everything from cancer to diabetes risk. Okay, and it speeds up metabolic rate. There may be a point. We definitely notice there's a diminished return on heart health with muscle. And no, you can't gain enough muscle naturally to ever be a heart health concern. That is also what data shows. But there's a rapid diminished return. Past that first 10, 15 pounds of muscle, you're probably not doing much else for your heart health, but you are improving the other stuff, the other metabolic markers, glucose disposal, insulin response, right? And people don't understand that either. They don't seem to grasp. They're like, well, I'm trying to lower circulating insulin levels. You can eat a high carb diet and have lower insulin levels than someone who does a ketogenic diet. All you have to do is get really jacked. That's also proven in the lab, okay? People say, what? All right. In other words, someone my size compared to an average guy, let's say you're a 150-pound guy who does a little bit of modest exercise, some of these keto people, and you do a full ketogenic diet, 70, 80% fat calories, you're still going to have a higher circulating insulin than I have eating rice every day. And that's not an opinion. That is what we know based on biology in the metabolic ward. Okay, so it's exactly what we mean. Gaining muscle. So what does that mean for cancer, diabetes? Every single pound of muscle you gain has a measurable reduction on them. Okay? So you need to be training everything. And the best way to achieve that is to make sure every muscle in your body is trained. Right? Because every muscle in your body is going to have a diminished return scale. Every year you continue to train it, it's going to grow less than the year before. And we know the mechanisms why that is. It has nothing to do with, it must be biopsy. No, it just has to do with the actual upper threshold size of individual muscle fibers by fiber type, and therefore you have a lot of muscle fibers. The majority of the muscle fibers in your body will actually not grow much beyond your first year of training. And then it will progressively become more and more so. What happens is that once you've been training a really long time, only the really fast twitch fibers will continue to grow really at all, unless your hormonal environment changes. So it makes sense from that health perspective to do that. Now, from an aesthetics perspective, even a competitive perspective, like I know coaches who are like, who coach natural bodybuilders and men and women both, especially the ones who specialize in women. They say, no, we don't weak point train. It's like, what? It's like, no, I have my people develop every muscle fully, every plane, every angle of every single muscle. You're like, well, how do you get them balanced for their division. He's like, we let their genetics determine the division. Okay? Let that sink in. It's like, I let their genetics and their structure determine what division they compete in. Whether it's figure, bikini, bodybuilding, all those things for women. For the men, whether they're going to do, men's physique or bodybuilding open or whatever. It's like, let their genetics determine it. Because you're going to be as aesthetic as you can possibly be as long as you just get jacked. As long as you get jacked. Build every muscle in your body and then get leaner. Okay, and I want people to think about that for a moment. I mean, we can discuss all this stuff if, certain muscles matter more for aesthetics. But if you really, that's for quick aesthetics. You're just trying to get there quickly, to have a certain look as fast as possible, okay? But generally speaking, if you just build everything and then you diet down to a healthy, lean body fat, are you going to look good? I'm not talking about bodybuilding, make your living at bodybuilding or as a fitness model good. I'm talking about, are you going to look good? The average person going to look at you and say, they got a nice body. Of course they are. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you really put in some serious time training and you build every muscle for 5 years, and then you diet down, lean enough to have abs, have your shirt off in public, to the average person, you're going to look phenomenal. You're going to easily be in the top 1% of bodies walking around. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Okay? Just facts. So even in that case, just build everything. Build all the muscles. Get all the benefits. You need to be looking at it and going, man, I mean, my forearms really don't get enough work with my training. Maybe I should do some forearm wrist curls. Calves don't get enough work. My glutes don't get enough work. So get in and train it. And I'm not saying you have to isolate every head of every muscle if you're not going to compete in bodybuilding. But you need to train every muscle. Okay? And that's going to mean definitely you need to isolate some stuff. But you need to make sure everything should be growing. You should not have a single muscle on your body that is not growing at any given time if you care about either your health or your aesthetics. And that's before we even get into strength. Okay? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.